Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today I'm going to try to answer the question. Can you cook a brisket in the oven that's so good you might think it was made on a smoker? So to do this, I just went to Costco and got a regular Costco brisket. Nothing special about it. The most special thing about it is that it's almost as expensive as Wagyu briskets that I bought in 2019, but I can't change that. So we're gonna work with what we got. So let me get it out of the package, I'll trim it up, and then let me show you what we're gonna do to get it ready to go in the oven. Now, to fake out a barbecued brisket from one that's just cooked in the oven, we need to try to recreate three things. One is going to be smoke flavor, and for that, we have liquid smoke. Number two would be smoke ring. This isn't flavor, but it's an aesthetic thing that will tip people off as to whether or not a product has been smoked or not. So, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of prod powder number 1, pink curing salt number 1, sodium nitrite, whatever you want to call it. I have some of that in here so that we can set the smoke ring, and then I'm going to be adding a little bit of Worcestershire sauce just to help darken it, and that is going to be contributing to the bark that we're going to create. But we're going to be breaking down exactly why and how much of each ingredient we have in here. But right now we're going to spray this on and then give it 30 minutes before we add the rub. At this point, we waited about 30 minutes, and so that cure, the sodium nitrite, is going to start making its way through the meat, and we should be able to get a nice smoke ring at the end of this. But in order to fake out the bark, we're going to use some of this gunpowder seasoning. I just got it from my local butcher shop, and it's a rub that has activated charcoal mixed in with it, so we have an extra dark rub. You can do this with anything. You could use your favorite rub and then add charcoal. You don't even have to have charcoal in it at all. It's just, we're trying to get that dark color, and this is the best way I think we can achieve it. Then the last ingredient is pepper. This is just a big jug of pepper I got at Restaurant Depot. I don't want it to be too potent so that I can use a lot of it, and it's not going to be too sharp when you take a bite. Now that we have this trimmed, seasoned, and ready to go, let's take it inside and put it in the oven. We're going to put it on this tray. So we get a little bit of airflow underneath, so hopefully it doesn't get too pot roasty underneath. All right, brought this inside, and I see I missed a spot. Let me fix that, and then it goes in the oven. All right, now it's ready to go. 200 degrees for the first 2 hours. Years ago when I was doing barbecue catering full-time, there were a few things that kind of pushed me away from spending all my time doing that. One of them was my lower back. After doing a long cook, opening doors, closing doors, lifting briskets, lifting heavy boxes, moving coolers, all that stuff, my lower back was wrecked. But even maybe worse was my feet. My feet would hurt so badly from doing the cook and then serving the food, usually for a few hours. But today's sponsor, Let's Gel, has a Gel Pro mat that makes standing while you're working infinitely better. The Gel Pro Elite mats are the most comfortable mats I've ever stood on, and it's not even particularly close. My wife has them in the kitchen. She absolutely loves them. When you stand on them, it feels like you're standing on a cloud. The Gel Pro Elite mats come in a variety of colors and patterns because they look nice as well as feeling incredible. While my wife was pregnant, she would invent reasons to go stand on the mat because it made her feel so much better. They have an outdoor version that's even more durable, and it has a 10-year warranty, which is perfect for me out here in the backyard trying to cook barbecue. If you're thinking about getting a gift for a significant other, for a mom, for a sister, trust me when I tell you, if you get them one of these, they will love you for it. And here's the most important part. They're doing their once a year only Black Friday deal. You get 30% off site-wide. And not only do they have the indoor mats and the outdoor mats, Let's Gel also makes zip-top containers. Zip-top containers are great for leftovers, for transporting food. With me and my kids, I put their crackers in there or their pretzels or whatever kind of snack that they have. We'll put it in there, zip it up, and take it with us to go. It's BPA free, no microplastics, so it's exactly what I need in terms of functionality, and I don't have to worry about extra chemicals being in the food. Not to mention my daughter loves the animal shapes on them, and she's always asking for the cat. Thank you to Let's Gel for making this video possible. One of my absolute favorite products that I have ever used. If you take advantage of the 30% off site-wide, not only are you saving money, but you're supporting Let's Gel, which is a small family-owned business, and they make 100% of their products in the United States. So, if you're looking for a gift, if you're looking to improve your experience both inside cooking and outside cooking, check out Let's Gel. We'll put a link in the description. You can go there. You save 30% off site-wide, once a year only Black Friday deal. So this is an inside video, and now you guys are inside my office. Normally I'm out there by the smoker talking about whatever barbecue things, but I wanted to address the three things we're trying to recreate by cooking a brisket in the oven that we would naturally create with a smoker, but obviously we're not using one. The first one is bark. And I think you guys saw some of the things that I was doing to try to create a great bark. One is the rub itself has charcoal in it. It's going to darken everything up and make it look like a meteorite brisket when we're done. The second thing I'm trying to do is create smoke flavor. In an oven, obviously, it's difficult to create smoke flavor. If you watch some kitchen TV shows, sometimes they make a smoker with wood chips, but they have huge exhaust vents and you're not smoking up, a residential home. That's probably not the right choice for most of you out there. If you want to do that, I'm not going to stop you, but I think it's probably not the best call. So we used liquid smoke, readily available at like every grocery store in the country. The smoke flavor isn't quite the same, but you still do get some smoke flavor. Then the third thing we're trying to recreate is a smoke ring. This is purely aesthetic. It doesn't really affect the flavor. But if we're trying to fake somebody out and make them think they're eating barbecue from a smoker, but it really came from an oven, you gotta add in the smoke ring to really sell it. And so to create the smoke ring, we're using curing salt number 1 or prog powder number 1. It contains sodium nitrite. The reason we're using sodium nitrite to create a fake smoke ring is because that sodium nitrite creates a bond to myoglobin. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But it creates that pink ring around the outside that signals, oh, this was smoked, even though it wasn't. So I'm going to go back to my roots as a chemistry teacher. I have a yellow pad and I have a pen. So let me explain some of the science behind why we applied sodium nitrite and the reasoning behind the way in which we did it. I'm going to have Erica bring the camera over here. You can look over my shoulder and I can explain how we can create a fake smoke ring using real science. So first things first, smoke ring with no smoke. First, we have to decide how deep we want the smoke ring to go. So we can say it's about 1/4 of an inch or 0.25 inches. And so we need to figure out how many meters that's going to be, or millimeters, or some kind of metric unit, so that we can know how to plug that into an equation. So I know that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. And you guys see how bad my handwriting is. And I know that 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. And so if I do this, we get 6.35 millimeters. So we want a smoke ring depth of about 6 millimeters or so. And how we figure this out is this equation. So X is the distance it diffuses, 4 is just the number 4, D is the diffusion coefficient, and T is the time in seconds. And so what we need to know is how does this turn into a pink ring? Well, first of all, this dissociates when you dissolve it in water, so it produces Na plus and NO2 minus, and this breaks down. We won't get too involved in the chemistry, but it makes this nitric oxide, and that's what actually binds to the myoglobin and forms the nitrosohemochrome. But we got to figure out this. We got to figure out this distance. How far? We need that to be 1/4 of an inch. So I need to know this coefficient, and then I will know the time, because if I know this variable and I know what this is, then I can solve for t. If we take this equation and solve for t, we square both sides. Squared, we get x squared equals 4dt. So if we solve for t, we have x squared over dt. This sounds like calculus, but it's not. I promise. Oh, I messed that up. Over 4d equals t. And so now I start plugging things in. So this coefficient d is about 1 times 10 to the negative 9th meters per second at refrigerator temperature of about 4 degrees Celsius. But at room temperature, it's maybe about 3 times 10 to the negative 9th meters squared per second. And at, say, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 6 or 7 times 10 to the negative 9th meters per second. And because we're cooking this thing, we're increasing the temperature, increasing the rate at which the sodium nitrite diffuses through the meat. So we can estimate that for practical purposes, as it increases in temperature, we'd have a diffusion coefficient of about, let's say, 5 times 10 to the negative 9th meters squared per second. If we just left it at, fridge temperature, it would be several days before it penetrates all the way through the meat. So let's plug in x and d and solve for t. So x is the distance in meters, so we need 0.006 meters, and that x is squared, over 4 times the diffusion coefficient, which I just told you we're going to estimate at about 5 times 10 to the negative 9th meters squared per second. And once we do this calculation, we get t, which is about 1,800 seconds, or about 30 minutes. And so, if we do that, we should have enough time for the sodium nitrite to penetrate and make a faux smoke ring. So our calculations tell us that in about 30 minutes of being heated, we'd expect the sodium nitrite to diffuse to about the same level that a smoke ring would diffuse to. But if you think about it for a second, it actually makes sense, because how does a smoke ring form? Well, nitric oxide coming from the wood smoke binds to the myoglobin that's present in the meat. It diffuses its way through, and you don't start applying the smoke until you started applying heat. So we should be able to apply this cure and then apply heat relatively soon afterwards, and we get something that looks equivalent to a smoke ring. So the calculations tell me we should be in the ballpark. Intuitively, we should be in the ballpark, but we're not going to know until we cut it open. But that's the plan. And I think if we get the bark right, if we get some smoke flavor on there, and if we get a smoke ring, we might be able to make a brisket close enough to fool someone. All right, guys, I think we're done. I temped this thing. It's at the right temp. Everything's feeling nice and soft, nice and tender. I've been hearing a lot about tendernism lately. I'm not sure exactly what that's all about. But I think we're done. Let's take a look. All right, here we have our brisket. Not bad for an oven. Actually, Erica went to run some errands, and she looked at the brisket in the oven. She said, "Did you put that on the smoker?" I was like, "Nope." So we're going to let this cool. We're going to rest it just like we would a normal brisket, and then we're going to slice into it and see how we did. So I'm really pleased with the color. We have good bark. We don't know about smoke flavor or smoke ring yet, but everything I can see looks promising. Okay, we've let this hot hold, and now it's time to slice it. So the 3 things we're going to be evaluating are bark, smoke flavor, and smoke ring. As you guys can see, for an oven brisket, this is phenomenal bark. So we did 200 for 2 hours, 250 for 2 hours, 275 for 2 hours, and then 300 all the way through to the end. So the bark is even better than I thought it could be. So very pleased with that. Now we need to look for smoke ring and smoke flavor. I say that looks pretty good. Look at that smoke ring. Hey, that actually looks like a legit smoke ring. I honestly am shocked. That's so good. This is perfect. It looks like it's been smoked. Tell me I'm wrong. It looks smoked. All right. Okay, let's take a slice of flat. I'll set this aside. If you guys can't tell, it is cold outside. This rendered fat is solidifying as we speak. But nice and moist. Now try it all. It really legitimately looks smoked with that smoke ring. The bark on the outside is great. Let's taste it. Okay, so it looks like brisket, smells like brisket, feels like brisket, doesn't quite taste like what I think of when I think of brisket. So it's really nice. Like if I went to a restaurant and I were served some cut of beef and they said it's slow braised and it's super tender, I'd be like, oh, good stuff. But the smoke flavor is very, very mild. So it looks like $1,000,000. It tastes really, really good. It's super juicy. Look at this flat, just, you know, packed with lots of moisture. The fat rendered well. I should have trimmed that a little bit more, but that's a me problem. So even if you look at the underside, it's not washed out. Looks like it's got a legit smoke ring all the way around, even on top. So really pleased with that. Let me try a burnt end, just because I have to. You know, it's part of it. If you gave this to somebody and told them, guess what it was cooked on, they'd be debating between pellet grill, you know, drum smoker, offset smoker, rotisserie. They would never guess oven. I'm gonna take a bite of this burnt end. This looks really good. The bark is very, very crunchy. If you guys can hear this. If you're after crunchy bark, you can definitely achieve it in the oven. That's actually really, really nice. It just tastes like pot roasty. It's really juicy. It's really tender. It's got great crunch on the bark. It's got a really nice smoke ring. It's got everything except for the smoke flavor. And I added quite a bit of the liquid smoke. So you could try adding more if you're trying to do this. But what I've discovered is that liquid smoke is best used in small quantities. When you use enough of it to really taste it, I don't actually like the taste. So what did we learn? You can definitely make a brisket that looks like it's been cooked in a smoker in the oven. If you want real smoke flavor, you might have to throw it on a smoker at the beginning for a couple of hours. You might have to use a whole bunch of liquid smoke. But doing it this way probably won't give you the smoke flavor that you're after, though you will get a delicious cut of meat. So if you guys have found this video helpful, please hit the like button down below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on all other social media at Mad Scientist Barbecue. Keep smoking, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna put some of these slices to go in this zip top container. Gonna take some of this to my in-laws.